Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drux Milan Unboxing. Saturday night at Emperor's Palace. It is the turn of the big boys to throw lever when heavyweight Mania will grace your super sport screens. Now, headlining the show will be a 10-round bout for a WBA Intercontinental Heavyweight title between the former IBO Cruiserweight belt holder Kevin Lerena, 26-1 southpaw from South Africa. He was world ranked in the top 5 by all the independent ranking systems that counts, the Ring Transnational Boxing Rankings Board, and he had a good run there at cruiserweight, but he made a step up to heavyweight. And he will be taking on an experienced campaign, a respectable record, 20-3 Bogdan Dinu from Romania, and it will be him putting his foot into a very lucrative heavyweight pool. Now, Kevin is about just over 6 foot. He's a muscular, athletic sort of guy, but frame-wise, he's by no means a big heavyweight by modern standards. He's quite small for a heavyweight, actually. And that is a big question mark. Can he take the punches of a big boys, and can he punch hard enough to get their respect? Now, Bogdan Dinu has only lost to the best guys. Hasn't really beaten anyone of note. Went to America. Gerald Miller was his first big fight there. We remember Gerald Miller, who popped positive for about everything under the sun before he was going to fight Anthony Joshua and thereafter. And Miller stopped Bogdan Dinu. And then he had another try at the big time heavyweight boxing, and he took on the contender from Bulgaria, Kubrat Pulev, and he acquitted himself quite well against Pulev. He was still even on 2 cards when it was stopped in the 7th round and Pulev came the upper hand, but he cut Pulev badly, and he fought quite well until Pulev just got himself together and overwhelmed Dinu. He then scored a few wins over your run-of-the-mill opponents, and then in his last fight last year, he was knocked out in the 2nd round by Daniel Dubois, a British heavyweight. So with Bogdan Dinu, it's quite clear he's not nearly the accomplished fighter that Lerena is. He's not really in that class where on world level he gets over. So if he was a cruiserweight, people would be screaming, it's another easy win for Lerena. But he's not a cruiserweight. He's a 6'5" heavyweight. And it's actually a very good fight for Kevin Lerena as his first bout as a heavyweight. He's been out for 2021. Was going to fight Riyad Mari, the WBA regular belt holder in France. And then he broke his right hand. But the hand is now healed. Lerena has been injury prone with hands and shoulders, but he's healed now. He's back in the ring, he's back as a heavyweight, and that is a big question mark here. Can Bogdan Dinu land one on Kevin and make him wobble? Can Kevin hurt Bogdan Dinu? Because Bogdan Dinu will be a sort of a litmus test. We know what Gerald Miller did against him. We know that what Kubrat Pulev did and what Daniel Dubois did. Now, how will Kevin do against Bogdan Dinu? If he struggles and he squeezes out a decision, it's not going to augur well for his heavyweight chances. He's going to need to dominate Bogdan Dinu for people to take him seriously as a heavyweight. Can he stop Dinu like those other 3 did? It depends. If Kevin has that sort of power, if he can carry it up as to heavyweight. He wasn't the biggest puncher in the cruiserweight division, but he had very respectable power. You know, when he hurts you, he can finish you. But he can also box from his southpaw stance. So I think Kevin will have a tentative first few rounds. He'll feel out Dinu, and he'll feel his way around him before he opens up. I do think we're going to have have a bold Bogdan Dinu. I think he fancies his chances here, and I think he's going to give it a go to resurrect his career and get another big fight. So I think he's going to be aggressive from the start. He is the kind of guy when he thinks he's got a chance, like against Kubrat Pulev, he will go for it. So I think Dinu will go for it early on, and Kevin will have to reset a little bit. I don't think he's going to blast him the way Daniel Dubois did. He's just not, that big a guy, that big a puncher. Or who knows? Maybe he's been pulling an arm and a leg to keep it at cruiserweight, and maybe now he'll suddenly find punching power over additional weight. But I suspect Bogdan Dinu is going to last a couple of rounds. But I do think the difference in class is big enough. And I think Lerena will probably stop him later in the fight, around about 7-8 rounds like Pulev did. I don't expect that he's going to bleed all over a place like Pulev did, but I think the volume of punches, the rapid fire, the superior speed of Lerena will get Dinu, and eventually he'll get him out of there by a referee stoppage in rounds 7 or 8 and pass his first heavyweight test, and we'll see where it goes from there. But tune in, because it's not only Kevin Lerena's heavyweight debut, it's a very good undercard. We've got 2 South African title fights, staying with the theme of heavyweights. Newly minted South African heavyweight champion here from my neck of the woods in Cape Town. He's a stone's throw from where I'm sitting there in Brackenfell. Jean Verino Roux. He's 6-0, undefeated. He is defending his title against a much more experienced Josh the Red Beast Pretorius, and I think it's going to be a really good fight. Roux's been quite a Cinderella story last year. He went to Emperor's Palace his first time under the big lights, got for Alan Never, that giant guy of Alan Tabil, out there in a single round, and then just about 2 weeks later came in as a light replacement here in Cape Town to challenge SA champion Tian Phuk. Best heavyweight title fight seen here in years. He overcame his much taller, lankier opponent's reach advantage, and he simply outworked and outfought him to win a decision and become a new champion. Now, Jean Roux, is one thing about him. He's not the biggest heavyweight I've seen. He's not a huge heavyweight. He's about 6'4". He's not the biggest puncher I've seen. He's not the slickest boxer I've seen. But he does have very good boxing skills. Lots of subtle blocks and feints and parrying with his gloves as he moves in on his opponent. And he's got one thing that no South African heavyweight at the moment has, and I think even a lot of heavyweights worldwide. He is busy. He takes a round or two to get into it, and then he just ups that work rate round after round. He throws punches and bunches, rapid fire combinations to the head and body. I've compared it to that heavyweight WBA title holder of the 80s, Michael Dynamite Dokes. It's kind of like that, upstairs, downstairs, downstairs. He swarms you and he's all over you. He just outworks you. So for work rate, I don't think there's a heavyweight in South Africa that can stay with him. Tian Phuk nailed him a couple of times with right hands. They caught him solidly, and Roux took it. You know, his chin so far looks solid, but he's going to have a different challenge in front of him with Josh Pretorius. He's not going to have a tall reach that he has to overcome that Phuk had, or that Never had for that matter. He's going to have a guy more or less his own size, and Josh can fight, like we've seen when he appointed for Alan Never. He fought Tian Phuk twice, lost on points. One was for SA title. This is his second challenge for the national belt. And Josh can fight, and he's got a different style than Tian Phuk. Tian has more an outside game where he's very good, and Josh can do stuff on the inside as well. So he'll try and walk Jean onto counters, and they'll have to find a way to stop that buzz or activity of Jean Roux. Whether he can do it, whether he has the power to do it, remains to be seen. I don't think he's got any more power than Tian Phuk, perhaps a little bit less, but he throws different punches, so he can walk Jean onto a left hook or onto an uppercut. But we'll have to see whether Josh Pretorius has got the stopping power to stop that forward momentum of Jean Roux. Because if you don't stop that forward momentum, he's going to outfight you and he's going to outwork you. I don't think Josh or anybody is going to match Jean Roux for pace. So I can't see him outworking Jean Roux. I can see him negating that forward march of Jean. He'll have to use a lot of angles. He'll have to hold any holds and catch Roux with counters along the inside and then get away. Because if he just exchanges, once again, you're going to get outworked. So I think it's going to be an excellent fight. I think that fight will steal the show. But I've got to go with Jean Roux. You know, he surprised me a couple of times, and I think he's got great momentum. I think Josh is definitely going to have his moments. It's going to be another learning experience for Roux. I think Josh will get his shots in. But I think in the end, I think Jean Roux is going to overcome Josh Pretorius, who's training really hard and is fit for this fight, as I'm assuming Jean Roux will be. I think Jean Roux has what it takes to get past the local opposition so far here in South Africa. Remember, he's still only 6-0. He's still a baby in the sport. So I think Jean Roux will retain his title against Josh Pretorius. Will he be able to stop Josh? It would be impressive. Josh has only been stopped against Flo Simba very early in his career when he was a bit overmatched. We know Flo is chinny, but Flo can also punch. So I'm expecting a distance fight. If Jean-Louis wins on stoppage, I think it's going to take him a couple of rounds to overwhelm Josh Pretorius. But I think whatever happens, I think Jean-Louis is going to retain his South African title. Then we've got the other South African title fight on the ball as well. Top prospect 9-0, Shavante Koopman. Very quiet, understated guy outside of the ring. He's facing another guy here from Cape Town who is also quite quiet and understated out of the ring. I've interviewed him on this channel. You can go and take a look if you want to. Jamie Webb. Now, Jamie Webb has only got one loss on his record. He's less experienced, but that one loss they threw him in the deep end against Cristiano and Dombassi. We know how dangerous Ndombasi is from Morocco Nap fight. And against Ndombasi, he lost a split decision. I don't think he was robbed. I think the right guy won, but it was a very close decision. And Jamie Webb outboxed Ndombasi at stages. He just didn't do enough. He was too wary. Ndombasi landed the harder punches and got the decision. But I think Jamie Webb, he says he can do whatever in the ring. He can fight, he can box. I think from what I've seen of him, and I've been at several of his fights, I think he's a little bit better as a boxer from range. We've seen with Shavante Koopman, he's been through them all. He's been well tested in his career against guys who went for it, like Jacques Mouvoud. He fought a war there. And he also gets lesser opponents out of it. And I think Shavante Koopman, he's just got the better pro experience. He's running the momentum behind him. And I think he's going to prevail against Jamie Webb. I think I see it as a distance fight. Webb does have a chance. If he can box on his P's and Q's, he does have a chance because Shavante there are vulnerabilities. He does get caught. We saw it against Henri Lando. We saw it against Mouvoud. He ate a couple of right hands there. And against Lando, at some stages, it looked to me like he was buckling somewhat. But Lando doesn't have a lot of polish. He's just a come forward guy that goes balls to the walls. I think Jamie Webb has got a bit more fluid boxing skills. So if he boxes a perfect fight, he could spring the upset. But I've got to go with a chalk. Koopman just had a more varied pro experience, has fought some good opponents. So I think Shavante Koopman also retains his title there. I'm thinking a decision. And then staying with a theme, back to a theme of heavyweights. The card is entitled Heavyweight Mania after all. We've got the return of prospect Keaton Gomes, who was upended twice by Lebo Moshitua. He's taking on 3-0 Sean Potgieter. Now, Potgieter had a start-stop career. There's very little on him. I saw a clip there of his last fight against Jean-Pierre Steenkamp. Absolute slugfest that lasted a round, and he stopped Steenkamp after being staggered himself. This is just an absolute knock him out, drag him out brawl for a short time that it lasted. So he can punch. He's got heart. He can take a few shots. That we can say about Sean Potgieter. Much more than that I can't say. Now, Keaton Gomes, he can crack also. He's up at heavyweight now from cruiserweight. What will the going up in weight do to him? I think stylistically, Sean Potgieter is not going to give him a headache that Lebo Moshitua does. Moshitua is a mover, he can box, and he's not going to. I can't see the way Sean Potgieter is put together and that bit that I've seen of him. He doesn't look like a mover to me, like he's going to be on his toes. So I think the key for each man is to just tighten the technique and not get caught out by the other guy. And who will prevail? It's a pick-em fight really for me. Can Sean Potgieter spring the upset? If he does, I think it will be by knockout. But I'm kind of feeling it's going to be a good little brawl. I think Keaton Gomes is going to have a bit of a rocky moment. But I just think he'll sort of pull himself together and pull himself through and stop Sean Potgieter after a few rounds. That's what I think, but it's a nice little heavyweight slugfest. I don't think it's going to be a boxing match. I think it's going to go either way. And then, of course, we also have Lerena Khumalo, undefeated middleweight. Khumalo will be going up against Mbia Kanku. Anything can happen there. But Kanku is a guy with a couple of losses, albeit more experienced. I think Lerena Khumalo wins that fight by a stoppage, is the way I'm feeling. And that's what I think is going to happen at Heavyweight Mania. We'll see how Kevin Lerena does as a heavyweight. We'll get to see the new South African heavyweight champion, Jean-Louis, can Josh Pretorius upend the apple cart and fulfill his dream of being the South African heavyweight champion? Shavante Koopman keeps going on. Can Jamie Webb here from my neck of the woods upset the apple cart for Shavante Koopman and spring an upset? That I have to correct myself. I believe it's no longer for the South African title, but it will be for the IBF Continental Africa title. And by the way, the Pretorius clash is also for the ABU African heavyweight title. So there's a lot of hardware on the line there. And then, of course, the other fights, I think we're going to have a nice little slugfest with Keaton and Sean Potgieter, and we'll see Lerena and Kumalo's progress. And that is it for Emperor's Palace on Saturday night. If you like this channel, please give it a thumbs up and a subscribe, and be sure to tune in. I will be ringside. You may see me at ringside. If you have bought tickets to a Box and Dine event, come and say hello by all means, or just enjoy it from the safety of your TV lounge. So until we see each other again, please remember, keep those hands up.